why are you sitting here and why am I standing here? I'm standing here because I want to talk to you about some of the experiments that we're playing around with at Fable-ii. Now, to remind you of the ridiculous thing that I said in Fable-i, if anyone can quote me, I said stupidly that we were going to create the greatest role-playing game of all time. Now, that was a pretty dumb thing for anybody to say, but let me tell you, we're still going to create the greatest role-playing game of all time, because what's the point in trying to create anything unless you feel like you're going to create the greatest thing of all time? What this demo is all about, and what I want you to get across to you, is that we are choosing a few, not a lot, a small number of features and trying to experiment and play with them to give you something different to play with. Something different. I mean, I've played hundreds of sword fighting, gun shooting, combat-based games. I've played lots of them ever since I was back on the Atari, whatever it was, when Golden Axe came out. You know, I've played them over 20 years now, and they're all the same. And what I want to do is build something just a little bit different. And here's my problem. I know that hardcore gamers will love the idea of having a game where they kind of can stretch the boundaries of what they can do with the combat system. They feel that they won't find the ends of those boundaries, that they get towards the end of the game and they still haven't uncovered all the moves or all the special moves. I know I have to do one of those, but I also have to make a game that is really accessible. And the problem is that when I sit down and start thinking about the RPG genre and then think about fighting and combat, the two don't really go together. And I don't know if anyone in this room could name an RPG which is a great combat game. It's tough. I mean, normally, and I include Fable in this, combat is a little bit of an oversight, which is a bit crazy when you consider it takes up 50% of the time. So we're going to experiment with some combat stuff. We're going to do combat in a slightly different way. Something really, really deep, but really accessible. Something where, and this is my dream, when I laid it out to the team, I said, right, we're going to create a combat system where if I'm in a demo like this, I can throw the controller to a journalist and they can carry on the demo for me. That's pretty ambitious. We're going to give it a try today, but it may or may not work. Anyway, let's look at the simplicity first. All of this combat, the entirety of what I'm talking about today is just the sword, just melee and hand-to-hand combat. There is also range combat and magic combat, which I'm not talking about, but everything I say about the sword combat, think kind of applies to range and magic combat as well. So, I do just by holding that key down. I can release it any time. So I'm going to attack him. Now let's talk about the different styles of combat. Normally, one-button combat you review terribly. We all think it's rubbish. We tried it before, but can we make it more interesting? And let's have a look. So one-button combat includes button mashers that do things like this. They just mash the button as fast as they possibly can. And you will be able to finish this game if you're a button masher. Absolutely. We're not going to stop you button mashing. If you enjoy button mashing, brilliant. We're going to use a lot of tricks, some of them subconscious tricks, to try and get you to mash at the right rhythm. You see, I'm mashing at the right rhythm. I got the right rhythm there. We're just going to use tricks to try and get you to mash at the right time. That's one of the things that we're going to do. So mashing is one of them. Let's talk about another system that we're using, and that's called holding. If I hold down normally, and this guy attacks me, I will block. We've managed to get rid of the block button. Again, that's really, really simple. If I hold down and I'm not attacked, that actually is what's called a flourish, a more powerful move. I'm building up, I'm charging up. That's, you know, it's getting quite interesting. The blocking is now a cost for you, so we didn't manage to get the block in there, but here, well, I missed him. God. Sorry, I haven't missed him all day. Let's just do that again. Sorry. Oh, I missed him again. I don't believe it. Oh, the swine. Right. That's it. He's dead now. So that flourish and build up is really, really important. Then the next thing, this is starting to get deeper now, is if you hit the button at the right time when he's hitting you, and that is something like this. He is wearing me down. Sorry. I think I've loaded the hard build, unfortunately. I'll just activate that. There you go. So that's got him now. So if I pressed it at the right time, then I get the killing blow. I managed to get my sword in there, sweep under his blow, and kill him. That's getting a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit deeper still. Kathy, could you turn the air conditioning up? It's getting really hot in here. If we go a little bit deeper still and we start talking about, it's not only the button you're pressing, it's where the hero actually is. So if I'm in a corridor like this, I can actually use the walls. I can, as you see, I'm using this wall to pinion him against. I actually stabbed him and pinned him against the wall. So it's not only the button press, not only where the hero is, it's where the hero is in relation to the enemy and the wall. The next thing is, can I use some of the objects in the world? For example, there are these bottles here. I've got some baddies down the bottom of the hill. They haven't seen me yet. If I hit my attack button, instead of just normally smashing, I can throw bottles and use those as weapons. Well, it's only useful for a certain amount of time. It's not going to do a huge amount of damage, but that becomes a little bit more exciting. The fact is I can use things like the wall here as a weapon. I can use my flourishes as a weapon, and I can also use objects on the ground. That's a little bit more interesting. And then when we sort of wrap all this together, and we set it to music, and we put camera cuts in there, make it more of a substantial fight, how does it make you feel? And this is what I'm coming back to all the time. How does it make you feel? I don't want you to feel stupid when you press this button. I want you to feel good when you press this button. So if we go into this more of a staged combat, which is very simple, again working all under simulation. I've now got multiple bandits that's attacking me. I can again take them on multiply. I can switch my combat moves, so I could take this guy on here, then reverse my blows and take this guy on here. All with that, so very simply with that one button. Let's just take these two guys on. Let's just. He managed to get through my block. Then I won't use any flourishes. I'll just take that bloke on. Again, I'm using, because I'm not able to use. Sometimes I'm not able to use my sword because I'm restricted by what's going on. I will use different parts of my body. Miss them. Uppercut just takes him on there. I just missed him. But it just gets a little bit more interesting how you can just sweep up there and take this guy out. Just take both of those out. You can know what I did in the last demo. I did a really nice move which I tried to do again. I managed to get two people with one thrust of the sword. Managed to stab both people. Would anyone like to have a go of the combat in the middle of a boss fight? It's pretty brave of me. It might not work, and I might have to take it back over. It's worked a couple of times, but I really want, my dream was to throw this control at you. So you just hit this button however you want. Remember, it's where you are and where the hero is that's really important. So this is the high point of the boss battle. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a special flourish move. If you listen, underneath the music, you'll just hear a drum beat that is just going off every time you hit the button at the correct pace. Now, while he's doing that, let me just tell you this is a full role-playing game. You start as a little kid, you grow up gradually, so that modifies your combat. We've got a lot of different weapons that you can use. Hammers, bows and arrows, swords, guns, magic, all modifying your combat again. You put all that together, you have got a combat system which is absolutely huge and which supports anybody playing it. So who's the least gamer in here? Who's got the least number of gamer hours? You have. You're the cameraman. So let's give it to this guy. You've done really well. You've taken out most of them for him, but there's your least number. I think I can just do this. It should work. Yeah. Blue button. That was a killing blow that you started off with. So. You did the 2 people stab! I can't believe it! See, I don't want people to feel stupid. That is, as a designer, that is really obsessing me at the moment. I want people to feel cool. I certainly want gamers to feel cool. Now, I can hear you mashing that button, which is absolutely fine to do that. You might be able to trap him against the fence. Well, that was pretty good. You managed to... Yes, that was very good, actually. Yes, that's extremely good. Yeah, you did very well.
Thank you.
That's the end of the combat. And that is, when we have combat, when you, in existing games, how does it feel? I'm going to ask this to you guys. How does it feel when you die?
You have to back up and replay.
Yeah. How does that feel?
You're seeing the same content again.
Yeah.
If you do it multiple times, it can start to get repetitive.
Exactly. Now, if I'm a designer of any worth, that is what you said is exactly what everyone feels. We have got. Why do we do that? Because someone back in the 80s did it on a platform game, and we've carried on doing that. So we've started to experiment with some new stuff with death. And what we found in our experiments that we did do, and then we're not doing a lot of these experiments, we're just doing a few of them that really try to get to the hub of what we want. And what we want is you to feel cool, but to feel that combat's, there's some tension to combat. What we found was, just like Hollywood never kills the heroes, Rocky Balboa, if you went to a Rocky film and he didn't come up after having his face mashed in like a melon, you'd be pretty disappointed. Why don't we apply that to this? In Fable, when you get really, really weak, you will collapse, and all the baddies will come in, lay into you, and they'll kick you, and they'll hit you, and it's quite distressing that that's happening to you. You have a mechanic to get yourself up and charge yourself up really quickly, but the key thing here, the key cost, the key emotional element, is while you're on the floor, you will get scarred. Permanently scarred. There's no way of removing that scar unless you pay the price and get up early. And then if you're scarred a lot, people in this role-playing world will react to you. They'll say, you're walking along the street and this little kid will say, "Mummy, what's that ugly man doing?" And that makes you feel, gives you attention to combat, that going back in time never gives you before. Those are the sort of experiments we're experimenting with. Most of our game features are actually to do with emotion. I don't know if anyone saw the dog in GDC. That was all about emotion. Why can't we think about combat as emotion as well? And that's why I'm showing this feature off. I just want you to go out of this room thinking we're experimenting new stuff, but always thinking of what it means to you as a player. And that's it. And there's any other questions? Anybody have any questions?
When can we please?
Well, we've finished the world. The world's about 10 times bigger than Fable 1. It's completely free roaming, completely AI driven. There's a huge number of story elements and side stories and side quests. There's dungeons and catacombs. Each one of these houses is buyable. Castles are buyable. You can own everything in the whole land. We've got all that working. And now we want to spend a full year balancing and fining and polishing what we've got so it shines like a true legendary game should. So if I was a betting man, it's going to be later. It's going to be about this time next year, probably later in the summer, maybe